lately, uh, I've been watching the Royal We quite a bit, and he's been hitting me hard a lot. Like hit me in hurtful places, um, like putting up with abuse, um, just so you have shelter. You know what I'm saying? Or putting up with abuse just so you have food. You know, just dealing with just dealing with your situation just so you have shelter. So you're not homeless. And it was a fear of mine. Like, if I ever escape from this situation, uh, I may not be able to make it work by myself. I may not know how to live by myself, on my own, and I had that fear, so and that's another reason why I just put up with whatever they demanded or whatever they wanted me to do. Uh, it was because of that fear and the lack of confidence in myself, uh, to make it on my own, independently of them, so I didn't want to end up a homeless person, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather put up with the abuse than be a homeless person. At the end of the day, that's what it was about. Um, because because I did have, a lot of health issues, but I didn't really think the health issues were contributed from being around them. I didn't really connect the dots on that. I thought my health issues were more from just my own actions and car accident, that kind of thing. I just thought it was all related to that. I didn't really think too much of it, of just living in the same house with these individuals, that was causing health issues in a major way. I didn't really connect the dots, that they were draining me, that they were uh, wearing me down. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really connect the dots uh, totally back then. It's easier to connect the dots when you're away from it all, and you can see it from a distance or from a different vantage point. It's a lot easier to see from a distance. If you stay at a distance, it's a lot easier to see what was happening. But when you're in the when you're in the thick of it, in close quarters, you don't really connect the dots, that these individuals are the ones that are causing your health problems. They're the ones wearing you down. They're the ones, they're the cause of all these things. You don't really connect the dots. You just kind of think it's yourself. You kind of just put it on yourself, like I did, of like, oh, it's my fault that I'm like this or like that. It's my fault that I'm depressed, or, what I'm saying? Like, I thought it was my fault for pretty much everything. Um, so, and it's just been in the last year or so that I start not to think that everything is my fault. I'm starting to shift that, that it's pretty impossible that it's my fault for everything, that happened, um, growing up. So a little easier to see that from a different vantage point, a little more space. But anyways, yeah, Kevin's just been hitting it hard on me lately. Just like, how did he know I was putting up with the abuse so so I wouldn't be homeless? I guess a lot of people do that. They don't want to be homeless, so they put up with the abuse, and it's a real reality. I know it was a reality for me. I didn't think I could make it on my own, and they make you think that you can't make it on your own. They make your self esteem that low that you're like, I can't make it on my own at all. You know, ever. So, but um, anyways, it just was a real reality for me. It's just like, and it's hard to see outside of their, if you're in the same houses them. It's hard to see outside of their fake world. It's really hard to see outside of it, that there's a world that is outside of their fake world, that has nothing to do with their fake world, like most of the world doesn't give a fuck about their fake world. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you realize when you're out in reality a little more, like their fake world was just full of shit, um, and a lot of people know that their fake world's full of shit, but except for like the victims that are caught in it still, it's hard to see outside of that, you know, of their fake world where they run supreme, But anyways, just a lot of my life I put up with a lot of shit so I wouldn't be homeless. You know what I'm saying? It's a reality. I put up with all their shit so I wouldn't be homeless. Because I knew I was weak as fuck, and I knew I had depression. I knew I had all these things that I'm still struggling with now, but uh, knowing that how weak I was and how low my confidence was, it really made me think I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it by myself. I was really convinced of that that's how broken down I was, that I couldn't make it without these individuals. And in a way, it kind of chained me to them, you know what I'm saying? And that chain is a real thing, uh, and I'm still trying to break those chains in my mind, and it's kind of like this analogy that people uh, keep telling me, as I've uh, talked to different people, is that the analogy of the baby elephant that's chained to the post. He's this baby elephant is chained to the post his whole life, and then when the baby elephant becomes an adult, fully grown, they he gets released from the chain. But the 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 elephant, fully grown elephant, an adult, still thinks that it's chained to the post without the chain there. That's what I'm dealing with now. That's what I'm dealing with. Or the tiger that's been in a cage most of its life. It's pacing in this cage for most of its life. And then when it becomes an adult, they take the tiger out of the cage and into a more open uh, place. The tiger is still pacing back and forth as if it's in a cage still. Still, he was so used to being in that cage that he's still pacing back and forth without the cage there. That's what I'm dealing with. That kind of thing is what I'm dealing with. I'm trying to make me understand that I'm not in that cage anymore. You know what I'm saying? And that's the big struggle, I think, for a lot of scapegoats is that we've been chained to one of the parents. At least we're chained to them most of our life for our survival. But then like the chain eventually goes away, like you're on your own, but you still live like you're chained. You know what I'm saying? I know I do. You still feel like you're uh chained, like you still treat yourself like a slave. You still act like a slave even without the chain there, even without the slave owner there. That's what I'm dealing with right there. Still, is like, okay, Adam, you're not in a cage anymore. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're free now. Like, my brain doesn't believe me. It doesn't believe that it's free, like ever, it seems like. So that's the struggle, is getting that mental cage gone. Just uh, stop being a prisoner in your own mind, basically. And you know, And I'm sure like a lot of slaves dealt with this as well. Like uh, they break free of their slave owners, and they don't know how to live like a free person. They don't know how to live like a person making their own choices because they've never been able to make their own choices for most of their life. So, you know, they escape their slave owners, but they don't know what to do. They don't know how to survive on their own. They don't, they're so used to being told what to do. So it's kind of like that. And it is a scary thing to like uh, make your own choices like you're not a slave, like uh, without, you know, like you are in full right responsibility of yourself now, without that slave owner, or without that chain to the post. Uh, but anyways, that's one of the main struggles I think. After you break off, uh, convincing yourself that you're a free person now, that you're not enslaved by these people. You're not chained to the post, and you're not being whipped while you're being chained at the post. That is is a good description of it. Being chained and being whipped. That is the reality right there. Get used to that. Whatever the whip may be, verbal, nonverbal, physical, whatever that whip is, there's a whip and you're chained while you're getting whipped. That is the reality of your upbringing. And my upbringing is just like, I'm chained to these people, but while I'm being chained to these people, they're whipping me. They're cutting me down. They're treating me like shit. They're physically harming me. They're, all that shit. So you're being chained and you're being assaulted in many ways. So you're being chained and whipped at the same time. So, yeah, that's a good way to put it. So, anyways, that's just what I'm struggling with. Like, even though I've broken off, like I still feel like that chained prisoner. uh, it's kind of weird, but I'm sure like uh, a lot of people that have been enslaved most of their life deal with this. Like they break free, and then they don't know how to handle making their own choices. They don't believe that they're free. And I'm sure it has to do with like, how people are in prison most of their life. They get used to prison life. They get released into the free world, and then they end up killing themselves. They can't handle being out in the free world, civilization. It's kind of like that, probably. So, anyways, it just takes little courage at a time, a little courage at a time